We promised football. Let's get to football. Even though we're in the middle of the offseason for college, still a lot going on as teams are hiring new coaches, and obviously we just came away from the late signing day. But Cedric, a couple new offensive assistants down your way that people in my neck of the woods know a lot about. New offensive coordinator at Texas is Mike Yurcich, former offensive coordinator at Oklahoma State. Also new to the Texas staff, Jay Boulware, who was a longtime assistant at Oklahoma. So obviously some new blood in the offense, in the defense as well at Texas. What's your impression of these guys and the impact that they could potentially have on the Longhorns after, a downturn of a season last year?
I really like the hires. Boulware is a personality, and he's a tough guy, and he knows these Big 12 streets. I think that was a really nice hire by Texas. I know when I read Brian Davis' story when he told the OU coach that he was leaving. It wasn't met with a great response. So coming over to the enemy is probably never a good thing. So he's going to do tight ends and special teams, and Texas has been okay in the tight end area. Special teams really could use a boost, and I think him coming in is going to help. Yurcich, working all those years with the mullet, Mike Gundy in Stillwater, a big-time hire. They need an infusion of offense. He's looking forward to working with Sam Ehlinger. Sam Ehlinger is the most experienced returning quarterback in the league. He's going to be a senior. Yep. I think he's going to be fine. They need to figure out how to keep him healthy throughout the campaign. He got banged up midway through the season. They're going to have to spread it around a lot more. Mike coming in here, Jen, is a big deal because he understands the concept of Big 12 defenses. He understands the need to put up big-time points in this league or you're going to get drugged. So to me, I think that Tom Herman made a really nice hire there. The defense coordinator, Chris Ash, yep. From former head coach at Rutgers, yep. Tom and him have experience together at Iowa State and Ohio State. So I think familiarity breeds love in this case. Yeah. He had to say goodbye to Todd Orlando, his longtime DC. That wasn't easy, but when you don't stop people, you get fired in this business. Yep. So Texas going from 10-4 to 8-5, Jennifer, was not expected. Yeah. You're number 10 preseason and you didn't get it done. So just because you won a bowl game doesn't make everything all right. If everything was all right, Tom Herman wouldn't be bringing in 7 new assistants. Yeah,
that's a lot of turnover, obviously. And when you're talking about 2 new coordinators, both guys replaced, both guys new. Although I do like the Yurcich hire. You took the words out of my mouth there. I think that's a really good hire for Texas. Yurcich spent 7 seasons at Oklahoma State. Was unknown, completely unknown when Mike Gundy brought him to Stillwater from Shippensburg, which is as out of the way as you might imagine. It is not on the college football map for most people. So came in, learned OSU's offense, really left a good mark. Fans are fickle and fans always want more. They wanted, more points all the time. So some Cowboy fans would probably say they were down on Yurcich. But if you look at the overall body of work, it's hard to argue the success that they had on offense. And I really think that, he went to Ohio State last year, spent a year in Columbus, and my suspicion is he wasn't nearly as involved with the play calling and the scheming of the offense at Ohio State because Ryan Day, the head coach, also calling plays, also very involved with their offense. So a chance to get back in the driver's seat, if you will, offensively. I really think it's going to be fun to see what Yurcich does with an offense that does have an experienced quarterback in Sam Ehlinger, that does have talent around him. They may need to fill in some pieces, but I think that's going to be really interesting to see what he does, especially in a league that he knows well. He's been in the Big 12, was here for a long time. Personnel has changed a little bit, but he'll know those defenses pretty well. So that will be interesting. But Cedric, we're talking about this because for the Big 12, And in college football, you're talking about a league that's had a playoff team every year but one of the 4-year playoff, and that being OU. But the Big 12 struggled a year ago, and part of that was Texas not being as good. I mean, like you said, you don't bring in 7 new assistants if everything's okay. So the vibe in Austin has got to be maybe not apprehensive, but there's got to be some thought that this year, this 2020 season, has got to be a good one.
Has to be, and this is Sam Ehlinger's last season.
Yeah,
and he's in the record books now. He's done a really good job with this Tom Herman turnaround. So bringing in these new coaches, and you heard Cedric, we asked him about play calling, and are you going to be the guy? Do you embrace the opportunity to be the play caller, take all the criticism, get all the credit? He goes, you know what? That responsibility is what gets me off. And that is a quote, gets me off. And I was like, whoa, did he just say that?
Did he say that on TV? I'm not sure.
Did a Prince concert just break out in here? I was like, wow. He said that, and he meant it. He meant it. And
he never said anything like that at Oklahoma State, by the way. Just wanted you to know. I don't know what's happened. Maybe Austin's got him all free and whatnot.
It's a weird city, Jen. It's a weird city. You've been here.
Yeah.
It's a weird city. And he is hit the ground running. He's got a lot of weapons on offense. He's got Malcolm Epps, and he's got Jake Smith, and he's got Kevontae Ingram in the backfield, Rashawn Johnson, a young redshirt freshman named Jordan Whittington that scored 6 touchdowns in the state championship game in high school. So he has weapons at his disposal, and the defense took a step back, and the stress of that showed on the offense, and Sam broke down over the years. So I think with a fresh start, a new defensive coordinator, they need to get back to where us two believe that they need to be for the Big 12 to be optimal on a national level.
Yeah.
And that's 1-2 at OU. Yeah. Jen, I've said it many times on the writer's block. The Big 12's not the Big 12 if the big dogs aren't barking the loudest.
Yeah, they've got to be better. There's no doubt about it. Obviously, this, as I mentioned, this time of year you bring in new assistants. Oklahoma has brought in 2 new guys after they lost Jay Boulware to Texas, and then Ruffin McNeil, longtime coach who's been with Lincoln Riley, or Lincoln Riley's been with him, vice versa, for a lot of years. He left. They brought back DeMarco Murray, the running back that a lot of people will remember from his days with the Dallas Cowboys, his days with the Sooners. He's going to be coaching running backs, so a familiar face there. They brought in Jamar Cain from Arizona State, a guy that's going to help coach on the defensive side, a great recruiter, just a guy that they really feel like they can go recruit with. And then at Oklahoma State, a team that I think is going to challenge for those top spots next year with all their offensive firepower coming back. Their new assistants, not new, but taking over the offense, going to be Casey Dunn, longtime wide receivers coach. But then they brought in another familiar name to people that follow college football, Tim Rattay, to coach quarterbacks. Nice. He was in the NFL for a while. So
49ers, yes.
Yeah, and Cedric, it seems like to me the Big 12, I know that it was a disappointing end. The Sooners get drubbed in the playoffs. The bowl record was abysmal. Not a lot went right for the Big 12 late last year. But you got to feel like there's at least some positive momentum with, teams that weren't where they wanted to be, or they've upgraded with coaching. Maybe I just am a glass half full type of person, but I am. But I think that it's good to see a Chris Ash in that defensive coordinator spot down in Texas. It's good to see Baylor with a good strong hire for that job. So I think I feel like at least the hires that are out there, you like that. Now it's got to be results, Cedric. You got to get some wins if you're in those big top spots in the Big 12.
Have to get some wins. Have to get some bowl wins.
Yeah.
And you have to show up in the bowl season, and the Big 12 did not. The Big 12 did not show up in the bowl season. So the perception nationally is the Big 12 is a little bitty league that people overlook. But as long as Oklahoma is Oklahoma, the Big 12 is going to always have a chance. And if Texas gets back to where it was, just a couple of years ago. I think it's going to be bright skies in the Big 12. Dave Aranda is a great hire at Baylor, and that's a program that's on the rise. Thanks to what the outgoing coach Matt Rule did. So to me, I just think that the Big 12 has a chance to make a move nationally. But first things first, these teams got to win more games.
For sure, yeah. And when you look around the country, you realize Pac-12, they're in a bad state. ACC, obviously Clemson carries the banner for the ACC, but the rest of the ACC really struggling. So if the Big 12 can get its footing, there's still lots of space at the top for the Big 12 to take up. Listen, I know it's February, but we're always going to talk college football around here.
Always.
We may talk about it again next week. You never know. You want to come back to the Writer's Block and see what we've got. We'll see you then.